Hey, folks.
Hello.
Hi there.
Ah, there we go.
Hi, Tara.
Hey, how are y'all?
Yeah, all good, thanks.
Okay, sorry. I was desperately slogging my coffee maker to hurry, but it doesn't listen to me. So I'm booting my laptop. Hey, Tracy, how's it going?
Hello. Yeah, no, all good. Operating off the new laptop, which I've not fully set up, so it's fun and games.
Oh, I hear that. Okay. Here, I'll do a screen share.
Hey, Nicola.
Okay. What are y'all looking at? Can't tell what I'm sharing.
Desktop at the moment.
Ah, hang on. Once more with feeling. Ah, here we go. Window. Sorry, I'm too used to Google Meet. Oh. Okay, so I had a couple of things. So one, I merged your change, Terry. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, thank you.
Figured it, no sense not to. And when I was talking to Nicola, she didn't have any violent objections, so went ahead and got that going. Do we have a Maurizio today? Did he come by? No, it doesn't look like it. Too bad. So the other thing was he's got those contributions that he'd like to make. So figuring out how to incorporate those in a reasonable way. Wow, your background, Terry, is like triggering my ADHD. I keep looking behind you.
So I change it to something milder.
No worries, no worries. Just like I'm used to seeing the Matrix. So we have a combination of things that we're looking at. One is stuff like Maurizio's, which is an implementation in theory of a best practice. Actually, I haven't looked at it yet. I'm assuming that it is. And then the other, And then the other thing is the vendor specific stuff. But I was looking at the resources tab or the resources area in the thinking that this is where all such things like that would go. But I wanted to throw that out there as a discussion topic. About how. So just as far as like, any early guidances that we want to keep in mind as we start to put stuff in here.
Yeah, I think that aligns to what we said previously, that we would put that sort of stuff in this section and mark it out so that it was visibly different from the core practices.
Do we want to do something like do we want to do something like I don't know, color differentiation, like slightly different palette? Do we think that matters? I don't know, Nicola, feel free to shout out if you have thoughts too.
I don't have super strong feelings about it. So in the Learn section, it has its own sort of dedicated table of contents. So when you're in that section, that would be the table of contents that you see, and you would have that context, but it could be meaningful to have a different color for, maybe in the top and bottom bar, for example, like the header and footer, to designate the stuff that is implementation specific. I think I had had that community section for that stuff, and then this page was kind of deeper dive, like if we wanted to get into stuff that really wasn't in scope, like Dora, for example. If people wanted to dive deeper into Dora and Salsa, they aren't really like specific implementations, but they're like going down that rabbit hole. It is kind of beyond the scope of
Right.
the best practice core stuff we have. So that resources page was really more about that,
Okay.
and like pointing to like Christy Wilson's book and the other book that got mentioned. So it was more like, hey, you know, here are the rabbit holes you can go down to like explore even more. Whereas this section was going to be, yeah, like if we had CDF members who wanted to put things here, this would be the section we could do that. And so, yeah, we have like this blue header on top. We could have a different header. We could make maybe make the table of contents a different color. Like there are different options there.
Okay. Sorry, I
Yeah.
was looking through this last week and I was like, wait, what was the theme there? Okay.
I think my feeling on this one is that if you're coming to it as someone looking to use this as a facility, you might make the assumption that community was about shared experiences. And if you were looking for actual examples, you'd probably look in the resources section, because that's a fairly common pattern across other sites. So it might be the right decision to put the code examples in resources, simply because that's where people will probably look first for that sort of information.
Okay. So we could. Okay.
So what goes in community? Would that be like case studies of people trying to implement the best practices?
I think that feels more like the right sort of example.
Is that this?
And
Is that in?
you know,
Sorry, is that? Yeah. Go ahead.
What we originally were going to do with that section was to use it for individual projects, so that you could get examples of here's how you would use Jenkins X to do this, or here's how you would use Jenkins, et cetera, et cetera.
Under community.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it could just be a matter of how things are referenced, so that regardless of which one you go into first, you end up in the right place. Does the community have a distinct table of contents from resources currently? Is that the?
Yeah, so
That's
the resources, I didn't imagine the resources was going to be a huge long thing, so it doesn't have a table of contents right now, but I can change the template. But this one, yes, it has its own table of contents. It says community at the top, on the top left there, so that heading would stay there to show that this is a community table of contents. And so, yeah, this would be independent from the stuff under Learn, which is the best practices stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
I think what we need to bear in mind with this particular point is that the examples are effectively a reference to somebody else's book. So we don't have any control over the content of that, and we don't necessarily endorse everything that's in it. But like Dora, if there's value in referencing it, then we should definitely do that, which is a bit different to the stuff we expected to be in community, which is, here are CDF projects that are already doing this stuff, and here's the flavor of doing it within the context of a particular project.
Okay, so sorry, I poured the coffee. I have not drunk the coffee yet. You know how I is. Okay, so going back to the Maurizio example, he's got a couple of example repos he wants to donate and just have them be part of this, which need to be reviewed. In theory, we could pull those into let's see, where would it go? Content, assets, probably content, right? Okay, community resources. So in theory, if I'm following correctly, because these are examples that are in relation to the book, we would have a little note about here's this book. And here are some examples related to the book, and it would be under this hierarchy. Now we could tag it such that if you searched for a particular topic and it was covered by that example, it would come back from the search. But it would be part of resources based on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Right.
a
Thank you
big
for
part of
allowing me
this
to
will
walk
be,
through that.
you know, we're going to need to make it very simple for him to maintain that code base independent of the rest of what's going on. So we should probably just have a little bit of a think about whether we directly link it into the hierarchy, or if we put it somewhere slightly different and then reference it through internal links in the Doxy setup.
Right.
So it's just how we manage the Git repo appropriately.
Well, what I'd love to have is that any example that was wherever it was possible to put like a really quick GitHub action CI test on it, so that if it stopped working, we'd know, because the worst thing in the world is to have example code that's broken.
Yep.
And in that regard, a separate repo might be easier to manage. Now, do we want one repo, or do we just want to say, if you're donating a repo, put this CI action on it? I'll have to think about that. We could start with just having an inline, and then just so that the content is there, and then figure out the infra setup. Okay. Oh, I'm being a bad note taker. Sorry. Unless someone else is already taking notes. Okay. It's February. How the hell did that happen?
I'm still in denial the performance review stuff starts next week.
Don't say such terrible
know.
things.
I know.
Who do we have here? Oh, Justin. Hello, Justin.
Hello.
Justin, where are you affiliated with?
eBay.
eBay, right. Memory like a steel sieve. Goes in, straight back out again.
So the
Okay.
community section is basically for use cases. Am I getting that right? Like, I'm sorry, not use cases, case studies.
Or use cases. But more, I think the general concept is that we want there to be there's like the set of principles, best practice you learn about, and then whatever additional resources in support of those we can provide. So it might be a case study, it might be an actual example. So trying to figure out, and then for vendor specific stuff, we want to be able to do that too. We just need to be able to make sure people know that we're not necessarily endorsing, we're just reflecting.
And the thinking behind that section was that what we didn't want was a big bun fight internally over what was the best tool for doing this with. And so we wanted to separate out the implementation specific techniques from the general practice methodology. Then everyone gets to contribute their, particular advantages for their given tool set, and we get the benefits of both worlds.
Exactly.
I think I would be interested in contributing something that is like, this is how eBay does continuous delivery and what our tool chain is and what the quality gates are and things like that.
Absolutely.
And that seems like a good place to put that.
Yeah,
that'd
ideal.
be awesome.
Let's see. Wait, so eBay, just to confirm, this would go under resources or under community? No, this would go under
Community.
community. Great. And then ideally, we can, let's see if we come back up to the site. If we go to learn. I forget, did we start figuring out the tagging story? We did, we have some. We need to add more. Okay, so we'll need to figure out the tagging story so that as you put your thing in, Justin, you can tag it relative to the principal.
Yeah, I had only put in a few just as examples so that we could see what it looked like, but
Yep.
I mean, not authoritative, not, you know.
No worries. You've gotten this started, Nicola.
Yeah.
Associate. Now it does mean, I think, and Nicola, correct me if I'm totally getting this wrong. Appropriate best practice principles. The tagging. Let's look at this. The tagging is by page. Or can you tag
yes,
an element within a page?
I believe it is by page. I don't think it's more granular than that, but you can assign multiple tags to a particular page.
Okay.
I mean, that goes back to the question of, you know, how big do we make our page?
Yeah, right. I was just thinking this, we were talking about this last time. Do we have one big page or a sequence of pages? So here's something that would be a benefit for a sequence of pages. If you had a sufficiently long narrative, breaking it up would allow you to tag sub chunks. How big a story are you about to tell, Justin? You could be our guinea pig on figuring out what the right thing to do is.
I don't think it's super super in depth. It would mostly be like, here's what a pipeline looks like at eBay and what steps and gates we have, and maybe a section of like challenges or success story along those lines.
Okay.
Like I'd probably be interested in like, for each step, like how long does it take? What like, how do the quality gates work at a high level? That's the information that I would be looking for in these.
Sure. Okay. Well, why don't you try it in whatever structure makes the most sense to you to start with, or is the easiest, and then we can have a look and ponder. There's nothing that says that we can't change our minds if we decide that other formats might work better.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have access to the repo to
I
create the
at
PR?
least can see the repo, so I should be able to like fork and make pull requests to it.
Exactly. Okay. And you're on the channel?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, then yes, please be our guinea pig for this. This would be great. And then Nicola, I don't know if you wanted to, or we wanted to recruit someone to do something similar for Google. And we should also get it Christy to see if we could get a Tecton, someone to contribute a Tecton example if that wasn't you.
Yeah, I know when I asked the DAs, someone got tagged. I haven't heard anything yet, but there was a DA that got tagged about whether they'd be interested in contributing. So I can follow up on that.
And maybe the Fidelity folks might want to do something as well.
Yes. Who was that? Oh, right, Anthony. And it was Anthony and there was two Fidelity folks, right?
He's moved on now, hasn't he? He's no longer.
Oh, he has.
Fidelity.
Juan Flores. Okay. Where did Anthony go?
I don't know, but he did make an announcement saying that he was he was moving on from there.
Everybody's moving.
So I
Yeah.
noticed we're missing content for a chapter at the moment. We've got version control in the original index, but we never wrote the content for it.
I was looking, okay. Missing the content for version control. I think I said I was
So-
going to do that, didn't I? That's on me.
No, I think Tracy actually volunteered for that one. It's got her name
Miranda or
against it
Reagan?
in the Miranda.
Slacker.
Can I unvolunteer for that one?
I can take a stab.
Actually, the areas.
I was starting to go look to see what stuff we were missing, and then I realized we hadn't reviewed Terry's PR yet, so I switched to work on that instead.
A couple of areas I'd like to help in not version control, but either the assessment side of things, and I know Justin had expressed some interest in that. So either the assessment, or I'm looking a lot at kind of secure supply chain practices with the new role. So doing something.
There we go. How about we sign you up for that one?
Yeah, and
That'll
like
make Chain Guard happy.
NIST just announced their kind of guidelines for secure software development. So a really nice paper there. We can link in resources. So yeah, I'm happy to do that.
I'm sorry, who did that?
NIST and
Oh, NIST. Okay.
NIST.
NIST.
Yeah.
NIST.
NIST. So yeah, it's just I was reading this, but it looks super cool.
Added to the resources page. We actually should probably have a whole. We may want to break this down a bit.
Sections.
Yeah, into functional areas.
Yeah, now I can have a stab at trying that for, let's say, software
Okay.
security and see what it looks like. Just pull out SALSA and NIST guidelines and.
Yeah, so it's like resources should be organized and/or by function. G. Okay. All right. Learn. So assess. I'm sorry. We've got some stuff in here. Add more info. Did you, Justin? Did you say you were interested in that, or who did you say was interested in that?
I am interested in that.
Aha. Ooh, I see. Cute creature behind you. Did you want to, once you got your example landed, did you want to throw this on your backlog? Or do you want to hold off?
I'm happy to help there. I'm not sure that I can drive the whole thing, but
okay.
I can put some effort in.
You can start a PR and share it.
Yeah, if I focus on the security first and Justin does the eBay use case, and then maybe when those are done, I'd love to pair up or team up on more of the assessment section.
Great, sounds good. All right. Okay, testing, I think we pulled, oh, nope, we still have to pull that stuff over. Okay. Boop, boop, boom. So if you're interested in doing assessments with Justin and you want to take a stab at security, then to start migrating. I mean, I'll reach out to Juan and Anthony if they're still participating. Anthony went to DraftKings. Isn't that a gambling site? That's funny. It's going to be SRE at DraftKings. He's going to be busy.
There's a couple of other Fidelity folks, Nick Benson and Jimmy McNamara, who might be able to. And
Okay.
Nick's been doing a lot of writing blog posts, so I can reach out to him.
Let's see, it's the testing and delivery. One, Nick, and who's the other person?
Jimmy.
Jimmy may still be. Okay. All right. This one we may want to consider additional templating function. You spell palettes. All right, there was one other thing was in my head. It's right there, right there. Oh, Nicola, Tecton's not you, right?
One of the other SSTP writers is on that. So yeah, Jerry. Jerry
Okay.
is the writer for Tecton.
Follow up with Tecton team to see if there are examples that can be. That's what I was trying to think of. Okay, so Google has some, from a documentation perspective, Google has a couple of types of docs that are dually published. So for example, we have Google documentation that also gets published to Spring Boot, for example. Similarly, Terraform, right? And so this makes it easier to be able to share doc content for the writing team more broadly without having to individually publish to each thing. So would we consider it a reasonable thing to say, hey, if you wanted to co-publish, a set of pre-reviewed examples, here are the things that you would do to do that. Would we consider that an acceptable thing for this site? Because I think that would, particularly for the vendor content teams, would make this a more appealing prospect if we had a way of sort of hooking that up. Now, I don't know how easy that is, right? Like, does it mean that, I don't know, is Terraform and Spring Boot and some of the other sites they're doing, are they using the same format, or is there some kind of infra we had to set up like that? I don't know. But I think if we could say, hey, we'll work with you to help it so that you can publish to this, I think that might be not a bad story to sell.
That would be
single
interesting.
source it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead, Nicola.
Sorry, you were going to ask what? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask if it's single source, like, do they want to use the same code in multiple places from the same source to ease maintenance?
For Terraform, it's the same, I think. And it's kind of like a big, huge thing. Like, it's just all of the Terraform stuff is getting sucked into Google somewhere. I wasn't part of that project, but I know who was on it, so I could find out how that was working. I'm not sure what went into that. I don't know about Spring Boot. I suspect if it's single source with some magic.
Yep.
Some kind of transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that could be potentially quite nice, and it just eases the maintenance burden. I think scoping it in some way will be useful, but yeah, in general, +1.
Okay. You can't think of any, I know you're technically no longer in the role, but you can't think of any like legal reasons why that would be a bad thing. I couldn't think of anything, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
As long as there's a CBA, we should be fine. I can follow up on that as well. To get more details about what Google is doing. And then maybe there's some kind of, I don't know, a hook or a validator that we could, like, if you triggered a PR with a particular tag, we could make sure that it wasn't going to break the site if it came in. Okay, I think that was the last thing that I was thinking of. Any other topics, concepts? Oh, that, Tracy, do we have somebody, who should we talk to about actually publishing the thing? We still have to have the branding conversation. Is there a good person who we should talk to about that right now?
So because we want graphics, or just for when we're ready to go live and swap URLs and things like that?
Oh, both, but either.
Yeah, I think depending on what it is, different people.
Okay.
So Kara can help connect us in to like the creative services folks. Like she just channels issues to them and reports back. And then Chris check for anything like URL, and he can connect us to the right person who'll help on that.
And that's for using logos or any other copyright or?
Yeah, logos and stuff, I think you're good. They're all already under the artwork folder.
Okay.
With the guidelines. So do you know where that is? Can I find it?
If you could drop the link there, that would be cool.
But yeah, let me know the specific things we want to do and I can connect to the right folks.
Tracy, the other thing that came up last time we met was just around the Netlify account. And one of the things I had looked up, I don't know if you saw, but one of the things I had looked up was that if someone is added as a reviewer, that they would be able to be able to see the deployment previews, which I know also come up, I think, in the PRs when they get submitted, but you're allowed to have an unlimited number of reviewers in a Netlify project. So if there were people that we wanted to add as reviewers, I don't know if there's benefit
I don't
there.
think I don't think we're actually securing the content at the moment. So those previews are actually visible to anyone without being logged in.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and I think we can add folks in as reviewers as needed. So I just need email addresses and happy to. I think I can do that for the site. As can Tara, maybe Terry as well.
No, I don't think so. Oh, I mean, on the repo, yes. On Netlify, no.
Yeah,
Okay.
on Netlify, I was looking at the permissions and it didn't look like anybody other than you and I think Chris had.
And Chris, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what you were pinging me, Tara. I tried to see if I could change that, but I think Chris is the super admin. So yeah, either we ping him or I can, if I still have access, I can add people in as reviewers. But yeah.
Okay. Well, worst case, I'll start bugging him and then he'll get tired of it and then he'll just give me access.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. So for creative services, that's just things like final review and publishing. So the URL and that kind of stuff, or would that be a Chris question? Sorry, I was just trying to.
Yeah. Well, what we can do on the GitHub, there's issues. Let me. One sec. So for specific things we need, I think we just file issues there. And then I can help tag. Sometimes it's the program manager, Michelle, sometimes it's Kara, and sometimes it's Chris. But if we just start filing what we need in each one in a specific issue, then just let me know and I can help tag folks.
Gotcha.
So that's the kind of service desk as such.
Okay. Okay, Nicola, was there something else? Sorry.
No, just stuff about the reviewers. I wanted to make sure I got in.
Okay. All right.
So from my perspective, a couple of quick things. I noticed that we've got those sort of use cases, the user stories that we wrote, and I was wondering whether we should do a separate section of, you know, why should I read this, where we could just put in a bunch of those things to see if that resonates with people and helps them to draw them into the documentation. And we might also be able to then start to branch out. So for people with particular areas of interest, we could lead them into particular sections of the documentation.
So like a
so-
user journey, kind of like, what problems am I trying to solve? Oh, this sounds like my problem, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know, initially, let's just capture the things that we've got them, put them somewhere fairly visible, and then let's have a think about how we might use that as a starting point for different user journeys through the information. So I'll take a look at that if you like.
Sure. Did we lose the doc? I thought there was a link to the Google Doc here. All right, well, I have it somewhere. Yeah, I was just going to try to bring those up because I haven't looked at them in a while. That sounds good. Terry to instead add. Okay.
And then just a general point from this month's TOC meeting. The various SIGs and project teams are all a bit siloed at the moment, and we're not doing a very good job of communicating across all the activities that are going on. And without Tracy being the link between everything that's happening right now, we're being asked to look at ways of improving that situation. So the expectation is that somebody will be asked to join from each of the SIGs into the TSE meeting once a month to feed back on activities that way. But then we're also looking at different ways to get information flowing the other way so that people know what's happening at a detail level and can collaborate a bit more across the various streams.
Yeah,
Do we?
that makes sense.
So, Tracy, do you recall? I mean, I know CDCon is going to, well, it's going to be attempted in person this year. We shall see.
Yeah.
I am tentatively going to be apparently emceeing, which is kind of cool, but I put a big caveat on it because if
Yeah.
we have, like,
I think they said they look in March, that they're doing an assessment in March to see if it really makes sense.
If we do end up having it in person because a miracle occurs, which would be amazing, you know, maybe like an all SIG birds of a feather or some other form of like mini summit could be kind of a fun thing to to shoot for if we could get everybody in on site.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing.
Wow, it sounds incomprehensible. I'm assuming they'll let
Well,
Terry
if
off
we
his
were gonna
island.
do
He's probably
something-
blockaded by the French.
I mean, yeah, if it's safe to travel, then I'd be up for coming over, but it is going to be an expensive trip for me. So,
Yeah, no doubt.
if we're going to do something, I think the request has gone out for that this week. So we need to be getting involved and offering ideas imminently.
SIG. Let me ping Kara and see if there's already been discussions around this. But okay, thank you for sharing that, Terry. That's good to know. I keep thinking I should try and sit in on the TOCs, but they always seem to conflict with other meetings I have, which is about to change, which is good because my role is changing at Google. I will start having a little bit more time. Oh.
But yeah, it
So
seems
I'm,
like we're
I'm
getting
usually
to.
able to attend. So.
Sorry, Tracy,
Go ahead, Terry.
you were saying? Did we lose you, Tracy?
Oh,
We lost.
no, I was just saying it does seem like we are in a better place now as things are shaping up. It seems more effective to be taking it to show other people what's happening and get them involved because we can guide them to more clear ways to contribute. So yeah, that's all.
Yep. No, I think, just a couple more PRs that can be followed as well in some of these fill outs. I think we're right on the cusp of taking this to all the SIGs and starting to broadcast. So, okay, cool. Any other topics? Otherwise, we can have 15 minutes back.
Yeah, all good for me.
Fabulous. All right. Well, we lost Justin. All right. I will see y'all online.
Thanks. Bye.